All right. Okay, so 3 lines up. What time was the Shabbos? 9 is preferred. 9:05. Yeah.
9 works for me. 9 works for me.
All right, we'll try as close to 9 as possible. Yeah, not on the other side, not on this side of 9. It'll be the other side of 9, that's for sure. Okay,
so never doubted it.
Thank you. I appreciate your confidence in me. Yeah.
It's 9 time. It's 9 time.
9 time, that's what we call it. It's 9 time. Okay. Yeah. So Beneim Kamalei Shtei Revakas, right? So we said that in between it's in between the pillars, I guess, or pillars. There's another name for it. Better name. Okay, whatever it is. But between the things around the water, the pillars, you have 2 revakas, two rabar. What'd you call them? You texted it to me.
Braces.
Braces.
Yeah.
2 braces, 2 sets of braces of cows, right? So 3 of 3, each one made of 3. And then the Gemara says, and Reb Yehuda says made out of 4, but kshurais v'loy mutaris, they have to be tied up and not untied. Now that's superfluous, right? Kshurais, tied up but not untied. Why not just say they're tied, or just say they're not untied? Yes, a pshita. The Gemara says pasha. Given the tanalei the kshuras havu ananya dira the loyav mutaris. Even since I know that they're tied, of course I know that they're right, that they're not untied. That they're not, meaning if they're tied, right, that they can't be untied. So Gemara says, "Mao the same kshuras kashuras, right? They have to be tied, sort of. That doesn't mean they're actually tied. It means that they're like they're tied. Avo mamish loy, but they're not mamish tied. Meaning they'll be loosely tied. I guess would be the way to say it, right? So kamash malon v'loy mutaras. No, they actually have to be tied mamish. Now, what are we talking about? We're talking about a slight amount tied. If it's tied a lot, tied very tight, then it's going to give you a little bit less space, right, in between the beams, the pillars, or whatever it is. Fine. So, achas nichneses v'achas yatzis. So we said one group of cows going in, one going in, one going out, which will then give you a little bit more room, because if one's going in and one's going out, you're going to need a little bit more space. So Tana, revaka nichneses v'revaka yatzis. What it means is one going in and one going out, right? Meaning, doesn't mean, you would think that it means you alternate. One cow in, one cow in. No, it's all 3 going in and all 3 going out, right? That's what it's saying. That which will give you slightly less room. Tanarabon. So how much is the head and roiv of the para? Shtei Amos. It's 2 Amos. So kama uvya shapara. What's the thickness of a para? It's 1 2/3 of an amma. Shehen ke'eser, it's like 10, right? Because 1 2/3 times 6, right, is 10. Yeah, that's Rameir. It's like 13 ammas, like 14 ammas.
So every cow has to be this size. You got to every cow has to be this size.
You're saying that some cows are skinnier, some cows are heavier?
I mean, they are. That's the fact. So is this like a halacha that like the cows have to be this thick and this heavy and this? I'm saying that's this width, or it's just an approximate or the
right.
average?
It must be approximate. It's interesting that you're asking that, because it seems like we're basing the measurement on this particular thing, right? Which would mean that meaning a lot of times we have measurements, but it doesn't tell us how much it is. Here it happens to say, we're going to say it comes out to 10 amas exactly, right? Which we end up saying that the shear is 10 amas. So it's almost like the Gemara knows the shear is 10 amas. Right?
Working backwards.
Correct.
What if my cows are heavy cows?
I don't think it's going to make a difference. Right? I'm saying Lamasha with the Tvachim, right? We had way back. There's 6 Tvachim in an Amma, 5 Tvachim in an Amma, loose, tight. The Gemara doesn't come out with any set amount of a shear that an Amma is. It just says there's loose Ammas, there's tight Ammas. Here it's talking about this different sizes of cows. And Lamaisa, it says that Lamaisa tells us that it's 10 Ammas. So it's giving us a final psak on what it's going to consider it. So it's interesting. It's a good point that you bring up. So anyway, so the Gemara asks, Ke'eser, what do you mean Ke'eser? It's like 10. Ha-eser Havian, which your teretz, David, would be a teretz. What do you mean? It's Ke'eser, because some cows are fatter, some cows are skinnier, right? So that's why it's Ke'eser. The Gemara, even that Gemara doesn't like. What do you mean? It's Eser straight up. Right? Ke'eser, ha-eser Havian, B'shum Debai L'misni Sefer. Yeah, somebody want to say something? Okay, B'shum Debai L'misni Sefer, Kishloi Shesrei. Right, because it wants to teach the Sefer like 13, so therefore it says Ke'eser in the, right, for uniformity. We want it to be uniform, so we say Ke'eser, even, and like Kishleish say. So, B'shleish Esrei Tvei Havyan, right? So, by what are you saying, 13? It's more than 13. Shouldn't the Misnei Karba Esrei, right? It's because it needs to say like it's 14. Ukarba Esrei Halei Havya, but what do you mean? It's not 14 either, right? It's somewhere between 13 and 14. So it's just the way the Gemara's way of saying that that 4 cows of each in each what do you call it again, Rabban? The 4 cows in each
brace.
In each, right, 4 cows in each brace is going to be somewhere between 13 and 14 amas. Fine. Okay, so Amar Papa. If the bar is 8 wide, you get these pictures. Well, I didn't understand one of the pictures that he sent today, but this one was pretty clear. You have the bar is 8 wide, right? 8 amas wide. So then the kuli amalei pligi, the labinim pshutin bar. Then you don't need everybody. Again, I'm sorry. Before we do this, let's go back with the Mishna. So the Mishna has a Machlokes whether you just need four of these beams, right? These 2-sided beams on each corner, right, that go in each direction. Do you need extra in the middle? So we're saying now, right, so that's a Machlokes, we need extra in the middle. So we're saying now that if the bar is only 8 amas wide, then everybody holds you don't need the pieces of wood in the middle ones, the middle lechis, right? If it's going to be 12, if the bar is going to be 12 wide, then everybody holds that you're going to need these extra pieces of wood. Why? Because if the bar is 12 wide, then you're going to need 2 amas for, like we said, the length of the cow is 2 amas, or Rosh Haruba is 2 amas. That's already up to 14, which we said everybody agrees that if it's bigger than 14, you're going to start adding boards, right? So again, 8, it's going to be less than 10 amas the opening, because with the lechis, the opening is going to be less than 10 amas. Therefore, you don't need the wood in the middle. But if it's up to 12, then you're going to need the wood in the middle, and then there's no machlokes. We're only arguing between 8 to 12. The Rameir being pshutin. According to Rameir, then you're going to need pieces of wood in the middle. Rabbi Yehuda being pshutin, you're not going to be pshutin. For a papa, my kamashmal tanina. According to a papa, what are you trying to teach us? That's exactly what it says in the Mishnah. Rapapa, right? Rapapa brisa leishmile, the kamashmal on kibraisa, right? I'm sorry, it wasn't the Mishnah, it was the brisa. So Rapapa brisa leishmile, the kamashmal on kibraisa. Rapapa never heard it, right? But he's being mechavin, there's kamashmal that he says like the brisa. Fine. Then it says Aryech Yoser Basal Chitzis Chatzah Shevish Simon. Now basically there's 7 questions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, this is 6, but I think one of them is for 7, right? That Abaya asked Rabbah about this whole situation. So that's a simon to try and remember it. So Ba'amine Abaya mi Rabbah. So Abaya asked the Kashim Rabbah. Herich b'dyomdim k'shir pshutin l'Rameir Meir. So we said Rameir holds that if you're going to extend it more than 12, then you're going to have to add. Well, everybody holds more than 12, but from 8 to 12, he holds you're going to have to add a piece of wood in the middle. Right? What happens if I decide I don't want to add a piece of wood in the middle? I just want to extend the corner ones, right? So the corner ones we said 3, it's 3 tochim each, right? So instead, right, so this is the corner, right, 1 corner. So instead of putting another lechi like further down in the middle, I decide to just extend down this way as my tefach, and then I don't need to put anything up in the middle. So does that work or not according to Rameir? So I'm related to Nisu, we learned that as long as you can extend this shtick around the well, as long as you keep adding wood. My lav the marach b'diyum, then doesn't it mean adding pasta means that you're being marach b'diyum? Then light the mafish for avid pshutin, right? It's talking about where you add on and you make new. You don't add on to the corner ones. You add on to the lechis in the middle. So it shouldn't say as long as you're adding. It said until you add. So Tani so learn it says Right?
How's that? How's that a decoy? That's not a decoy. Normally, you don't say. Normally, Tani's used in the opposite manner. It's not.
Right.
It is meduik in the Mishnah like this. Gemara says, no. Let's learn it differently. You can learn it differently, but we're bringing a raya from the diak of the Mishnah. What do you mean learn it differently? The Mishnah talk is meduik.
You're asking on the terrace. You're asking on the kasha.
It's not a kasha. The Gemara, it's meduik that way from the Mishnah. The Gemara is saying no. We could learn it differently, but it's meduik like that from the Mishnah.
It's meduik which way, like from the Mishnah?
That you're mapish on the actual the diumdim.
Right, that's what the Gemara thinks. And
so the Gemara is
no.
madche, but how's the Gemara madche? That's what I'm asking. It's meduik like that in the Mishnah. The Gemara says you could learn it differently, but the Mishnah, it says the lashon of the Mishnah is meduik like that.
Right. Okay, I hear.
It's not a kasha, meaning we're not asking a kasha from the Mishnah.
To be honest with you, I didn't get the diukim either way. I don't really understand why it's mashma either way, each way. So
because
I'm
the Gemara
really
is saying yarba bepasin, it's mashma. You're being marba on the pas itself that you already have.
Right.
Not yarba pasin. Yarba pasin means you add pasin.
Right. I hear.
Pasin is mashma with the pasin that we already spoke about previously.
Right. So then, okay. So then, and then it's also tani achi yarva. So learn it. So what are we changing the pshat?
Right, but you could say pshat in the Mishnah, but it's still meduik that way.
Right. So basically, the base is the issue. Right. It's so instead of bit
I'm just saying
it should be pasin. Right. That's the issue.
Right.
The base is the issue. So we're saying it says, even though it says a base, so just read it without the base.
I'm saying the Gemara is saying don't be medayik. Okay, I'm saying
that's basically what it's saying. That's why I understand it. Yeah. Don't be so medactic. It's a funny thing. Sometimes it tells us to be medayik, sometimes not. Yeah. Okay, very good. Ikadamri, another way of saying it, says the same Gemara just from the opposite angle. Amalei to nisua. Wavachi yarba bepasin. It says as long as you add pasin, my love the mafish v'av pshutin. Must be, sounds like that means that you're adding on lechis. Loi, the mark b'diyumdin. Somewhere where you lengthen the corner ones. It's mistaber. The ketani bavachi yarba pasin. As long as you marba pasin, shmami no. So that's what it's mashma. Okay. So that was question number one. Question number two that Abaye asked Rabbi. Right? More than 13 and a third Amos, Rabbi Yehuda Mao. What does Rabbi Yehuda hold? Pshutin of it, should you add to the diyumdin? It's a similar question that we just asked. Should you add to the corner ones, or should you add ones like Rameir says, add lechis in the middle? How close can you make these diyumdin, these corner beams? You got to put it close enough, meaning far enough away from the well that it puts Rosh Baruba in there. But and how far can you go? You could even go a core or even two core. You can go a measurement base of sign, but more than that, no. Aren't you maida by a deer? Right? We had this in the end of the Mishna. By a corral and backyards and yards that even chameshes kurim, even 10 kurim shemuter. Amalahen zu mechitza ve'elupas. So he answered back to them, Rabbi Yehuda. What is a mechitza? That's talking about a mechitza. So there you can go. You can make a much bigger area. You can encompass a much bigger area, right? But here we're talking about pasin, so it's not v'im isa. And if that he's adding on. If Rabbi Yehuda holds that you add on to the corner ones, right, and you're going to go out to Chamesh's Kurim or Aseres Kurim, Zum Mechitza. So basically what you're going to have to do is the corner ones, I should have brought some bricks for today. The corner ones you're going to stretch them out as very, very far, and then it's going to end up being rive of that wall. Meaning, let's say you go out to 100 amos. Right, and if you hold that Rabbi Yehuda says that what it means to add on to the lechis, you add on to the corner ones, and you're going out 100 amos, so he's going to hold that you can't have more than 10 amos of space. So that lechi is going to have to stretch out 90 amos, which means that's a regular mechitza that has an opening of 10 amos. So they should both be called mechitzas. So therefore, it's mashma. Must not be that. It must be just hold you add on lechis. So we answer no hachikam. Zu tayres mechitza le or pretzusa be'eser. This has the tire of a mechitza on it, and the opening can only be 10, right? And this one has the title of pasin. I'm sorry, I was saying that was a 10. It really go with 13 and a half. I mixed up the sheetas, but it's the same thing, right? And the pasin, that the other thing, these pillars only has the din of pasin, and the maximum it can go is 13 and a third amos. Fine. That's question number 2. Question number 3 is Bamine Abayim Miraba. Tell him Islakit. Asara mitoich arba. Marchuk's on. Oh, okay, so he once went out to his Telam Mislakit, right? That where 878 rises above, right? 878 rises above the trains. So the drop off there, right, is very steep. So we call that a Telam Mislakit. Yeah, that actually acts as a mechitza. So what happens if you have a Telam Mislakit on one of the corners of this well, and instead of having it the yumdin, right, the lechis that look like this, you have a little a pile, not a pile, a steep hill. So tell him it's like do we consider it a diumid or not? So I'm related to Nisua. If on the corner it has a square stone, right? We look at that square stone as if you would split it up. It would have a tefach, or it would have 3 tefach, whichever you hold the shear is. Right, I'm sorry, amalakan. As long as it has an amma to each way, neither mishum diumid, so then you're going to look at it like a diumid vim lav. But if it will not have an amma in each direction, if you chisel out the stone, then ain't neither mishum diumid, then it's not a diumid. Rabbi Shmuel ben Asher, Rabbi Yochanan ben Beroka, Haisasham Eben Agula. Let's say the pillar on the corner of this well, it's a round lechi. So made out of stone. So you'd have to cut it down to get it to an amma and then chisel it out. So you basically have to do 2 things. Right? If you'll have an amma in each direction, then it is a diumid. And if you can't do that, then it's not a diumid and it will not be kosher. You will not be able to feed your animals or give your animals to drink. So in my commission,
do you have to go ahead? Do you have to actually be similar to what the
sounds like not.
structure?
No, it's right. It says Brian.
Wasn't there a shayla of that where if you actually have to designate it as such? You just never rock there. Is that enough?
I understood it that Ryan means it doesn't have to actually be.
Wasn't there Machlokes though? If you actually have to make it you have to actually say this is going to be my mechitza, or this is going to be by lechi. Didn't we have something by lechi? When it comes to lechi, you actually have to designate it as a lechi. Like a tree.
Yeah, that's something else. Well, right? No, yes. So
diumid would not be similar.
We're talking about you designate it before Shabbos. You designate
right, but here it's mashma. It's just here.
Correct, but you could say, but you say I'm using this as my diumid. Right? You say before Shabbos. That works according to everybody. Right? So anyway, but my comifligi, what's the machlokes? Right? Mar savar hayu chad rayin amrina and trei rayin lo amrina. One says that you say 1 rayin, which is when you have the square, so you just chisel it out to look at it like it's an arm in each direction. Trey rayin, 2 rayin, you don't say. And the other one says even 2, you say. Right, where a circle gets 2, you chisel it out, and you have to make sure that it has the right amount. Then you chisel it out. So therefore, Telam Mislakit also needs it twice. You need to dig it out. You theoretically need it. You have to look at it like it's dug out. And then it has to have an amma in each direction. So the machlokes over there would be the machlokes by Telam Mislakit too. That's question number 3. Question number 4. If you have this a bunch of gehinom, a bunch of reeds together, right? They're all bunched up together and they're making a diumid, right? And they're all within 3 tefachim of each other. So, and then they go in this direction. So now, does that act as a lechi or not? I'm related to Nisu. We learned it. Let's say there was a tree on the corner or a fence, which is exactly the shaila. We look at it like a diumid. Is it not referring to where each reed part of this thing is within 3 tefachim? So we say loi godrisa de kani. It's talking about like sort of like a bush of reeds, right? So therefore, it looks separate, but they're really all attached. If that's the case, then that's a tree. That looks like a tree, which was also mentioned that it works. then what are you going to say? It's a kana pachas mishleisha. Each one's closer than 3. Hainu gather, then that's a fence, which we also said. Elamayis chalameimar trei gavni gather. So what are you going to say? There's 2 types of fences, right? There's a regular fence, and then there's a fence made out of these reeds. Hachanami trei gavni ilan. So we will say, okay, so you also have 2 types of trees. You have a regular tree, and you have a tree made out of all these reeds that seem like they're separated, but they're really all attached. Ikadamri. Kudrisa the kani coming by like Kudrisa the kani mai. It's talking about this tree made out of reeds. What's the story with it? We learned that too. If there's a fence or a tree or this thing made out of reeds, neither from the human. We look at it like a human. My lab Kudrisa the kani, is it not referring to a tree that has these reeds? So we say like kana pachas mishleisha. It's a kana less than 3. If that's the case, then it's a fence. Velamai gudrisa the kani hainu ilan. So what are you going to say? This reeds, this tree made, this bush made out of reeds, that's in ilan. Elamai is chalamemer. So what are you going to say? Hainu trei gavni ilan. There's 2 types of trees. Achanami trei gavni ilan. So here too, it's also 2 types of trees. So basically the same shot, and we're basically saying that it would work any type of thing made out of reeds. It's lover to each other, or if it's a bush, or if it's a tree, or if it's and the stones to chisel it out, that would be a machlokes. A round stone would be a machlokes. Okay, I have a good Shabbos, and everybody should stay safe and healthy.
Amen.
Amen. Shabbos.
Shabbos.
Yeah. I need the phone.
Rabbi,
Yeah.
good question. Nothing about this. If someone's on I think you once mentioned, if someone's on a diet, and how do they wash for Shabbos?
Well,
is there a specific thing to do? They have to eat bread.
They have to. What? They're on a diet that they can't eat. They can't eat bread.
Very, very little.
So I would say what they should do is they should wash and let somebody say al natilas yadayim for them, so they don't have a suffik brachas on that, and then somebody's going to say amoitzi for them, and then they should have a kazayas. If they're not sure if they ate enough, then somebody should say birchas hamazon out loud for them too. But they should try and have at least like a big olive size. That'll be enough. But since it's suffik brachas, have somebody say all the brachas. That doable?
Yeah. So they wash, but they don't say a bracha.
Right. Somebody should say the bracha for them.
You're allowed to go on such a diet like that?
Why not?
As
long as you're eating a kazayas of bread, as long as you're eating a kazayas of bread, yeah. As long as you eat a kazayas of bread, you're okay.
If they have a kazayas, do they bench?
They do, but the question is, it's better to have, if you're not sure if they had a kazayas, then have somebody bench out loud and have them in mind.
Okay. Thank you, Rabbi.
All right, Harold.
Have a good
to
Shabbos.
See you. Good Shabbos. Yeah. All right. Have a good Shabbos. Shabbos, Daniel. All right. Peace out, parrots. Shmuley, you there, Shmuley?
Hello. What's doing?
Galaxy.
Yes,
Shmuley,
yes.
no?
Yeah, hi.